Albert Einstein, the guy who revolutionized physics with the theory of relativity, once said that a simple concept called the Rule of 72 was even more important than everything he had created. Sounds like an exaggeration, right? But it's not. This rule has been around for centuries and can totally change the way you think about money. The first time this idea appeared was back in 1494 in a book by Luca Pacioli. He's considered the father of accounting, one of the first people to organize how we think about money and financial records. But what exactly is this Rule of 72? Basically, it helps you figure out how long it'll take for your money to double, depending on the interest rate you're earning. But before we dive into that, we need to understand a core concept: compound interest. To get what compound interest is all about, imagine this kind of crazy situation. You're walking down the street at night, and out of nowhere, a mysterious guy stops you. He's wearing dark sunglasses, even at night, and he tells you he can completely change your financial future. But you need to make a choice. He opens his hands and offers you two pills, one blue and one red. If you choose the blue pill, he gives you $1,000 right on the spot, easy money in your pocket. If you go with the red pill, things get interesting. On day 1, you get just 1 cent. On day 2, 2 cents. On day 3, 4 cents. And it keeps doubling like that every day for 30 days. Which one would you choose? I bet 90% of people would grab the $1,000. I mean, it's cash in hand, right? But what if you could see the future? If you ran the numbers, you'd realize that the red pill, where the penny doubles every day, turns into about $107,000 by the end of the 30 days. Yes, over $100,000, just by letting the money keep doubling. That's the power of compound interest, which is basically interest on top of interest. It sounds almost like magic, but it's pure math, and it's what makes your money grow way faster than you'd expect. Here's how it works. It doesn't matter if your money's in a savings account, stocks, or any other interest-bearing investment. If you let the interest keep compounding, the growth becomes exponential. In other words, the more time you give it, the faster it grows. Understanding and using compound interest is the secret to making your money work for you, instead of you always working for your money. If there's one thing Einstein understood well, it's that time is the greatest ally of compound interest. He even called it the eighth wonder of the world. Why? Because over time, your money can grow all by itself while you're sleeping, eating, or even just watching YouTube videos. To show you just how powerful time can be, let me tell you the story of two friends, João and Maria. João started investing early at just 18 years old. Every month, he put $500 into an investment that earned 10% per year. He did this for 12 years until he turned 30. After that, he stopped contributing but left the money alone, letting it grow on its own until age 60. Maria, on the other hand, started later at age 25. She also invested $500 per month at the same 10% annual return. But she kept investing every month until she turned 60, a total of 35 years. Now here's the big question. Who do you think ended up with more money at age 60? The one who invested for 12 years or the one who invested for 35? The answer might surprise you. João, who only invested for 12 years and then stopped, ended up with nearly $340,000. Maria, who invested for 23 more years than João, had around $170,000. How is that possible? Simple. João started early and gave his money more time to work for him, allowing compound interest to do its thing. Maria, even though she invested for a much longer time, started later and didn't get the same benefit of long-term compounding. This shows that when it comes to investing and compound interest, time matters more than the amount you invest. In other words, starting early makes a huge difference in your financial future. So don't wait to begin. Even if you start small, invest whatever you can, because time is your best friend when it comes to growing your money. Now that you understand the power of compound interest and time, let's talk about the famous Rule of 72. This rule is a simple and quick tool that helps you figure out how long it will take for your money to double based on a fixed interest rate. How does it work? Super easy. You take the number 72 and divide it by the interest rate you expect to earn. For example, if you think your investment will earn 6% per year, Just do 72 with 6, which equals 12. That means your money will double in 12 years. But this rule isn't just for investments. It's also useful for setting financial goals, checking if your investments are performing well, and even understanding how inflation affects your money. Speaking of inflation, in Brazil, the average inflation rate is around 6 to 7% per year. Using the rule of 72, that means the cost of goods and services will double in about 10 to 12 years. That's a big deal, because it means your money could lose half its value over time if you don't do something to protect it. That's why using this rule helps you plan better, whether you're trying to stay ahead of inflation or reach your financial goals. Here's another practical example. Let's say you have money in a savings account earning around 0.7% per month. That's about 9% per year. If you apply the rule, 72 1 to 9 equals 8 years. So your money will double in 8 years sitting in that savings account. Now compare that to an investment earning 12% annually. Your money would double in just 6 years. The key takeaway here is time and patience are your best friends when it comes to money. Even if you start small, what matters most is starting as soon as possible and giving time the chance to work its magic. In the end, the secret to building wealth is simple. Start early, stay consistent, and let compound interest do the heavy lifting. If you enjoyed this video and want more tips on how to take care of your money, hit that subscribe button, leave a like, and share it with your friends. See you next time.